Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If the algorithm's being moody again, you know what to do. Hit that like button, leave a comment, even a quick emoji helps, and make sure you're subscribed with the bell icon tapped so you never miss a drop. Alright, brew your coffee, settle in, and let's get into it. A single night that shattered everything. Ethan and Marissa Morgan had been married for just over 5 years. On paper, their life looked close to perfect. Ethan had recently earned a big promotion at the logistics firm where he worked. A title upgrade, a corner office, and a significant bump in pay. In a town like theirs, the money went far. They had a beautiful home, 2 cars, and vacation photos pinned on the fridge from a beach trip just a year ago. But as anyone who's lived through it knows, promotions often come with a price tag no paycheck can cover. Ethan's new role was demanding. Late hours, constant travel, and stress that wore him down to the bone. He'd stumble through the door most nights like a ghost, loosened tie, hollow eyes, and barely enough energy to mutter a tired hey before collapsing into bed. The connection that once sparked between them now flickered like a dying bulb. Marissa didn't want diamonds or designer bags. She missed the simple things. The goofy memes they'd text each other from opposite ends of the couch. The warm, "How was your day, babe?" that used to greet her as she walked in the door. That quiet comfort of knowing someone was really there. And right when the distance felt unbearable, someone new appeared. His name was Lucas Hart. Early 30s, new to her marketing agency. Charismatic, upbeat, with a kind of energy that people either envied or tried to keep up with. He was tall, always grinning, and the kind of guy who showed up to work meetings with a protein shake and a story that made everyone laugh. Lucas noticed Marissa. More than noticed, really. He remembered her favorite coffee, complimented her ideas in meetings, and always found a reason to start a Slack chat about something totally work-related. Marissa reminded herself she was married. She even made sure her wedding ring was always visible, like a shield. But it had been a long time since anyone had looked at her the way Lucas did. Like she was still magnetic, still exciting. What started as casual office banter evolved. Work conversations spilled into late-night DMs. They shared childhood stories, guilty pleasure playlists, even embarrassing middle school crushes. Harmless, she told herself. Just talking. Ethan wouldn't understand, but it wasn't like anything physical was happening. Then came the rainy Saturday. Ethan was away on yet another trip. The weather was grim, the apartment was silent, and Marissa was bored out of her mind. She messaged Lucas. He responded instantly with a joke that made her snort laugh. When she complained about cabin fever, he casually suggested, "There's a new rom-com playing at the theater. Corny but kind of uplifting. Want to rescue each other from Netflix doom." She hesitated. She wasn't stupid, she knew what it looked like. But she rationalized. It's just a movie. Just overpriced popcorn and 2 co-workers escaping a dull afternoon. No harm. The movie was fine. What mattered was how she felt. Laughing, being seen. Afterward, they walked through the park, string lights swaying above them in the breeze. He offered to walk her home. On her doorstep, he half smiled and asked, "Any chance I could come up for some tea?" Purely for the sake of Southern hospitality, of course. She said yes. The kettle hummed, rain tapped the windows, and Lucas spotted a half-full bottle of red wine on her shelf. "Tea's good," he said, grinning, "but I vote for something with a little more celebration." She didn't stop him. 1 glass turned to 3. The conversation turned personal. Compliments flowed as easily as the wine. He told her she was beautiful, that he'd been drawn to her from day one, that their chats were the highlight of his day. Marissa, starved for attention and drunk on validation, leaned in. That night, in the bed she once picked out with Ethan, she crossed a line she could never uncross. The next morning, sunlight hit the sheets in unfamiliar ways. She woke up with Lucas's arm draped around her waist and a pit of nausea forming in her gut. She quietly slipped out of bed, pulled on a sweatshirt, and sat at the kitchen table, staring into nothing. When Lucas finally padded in, expecting breakfast and maybe a kiss, she looked up with eyes full of shame and whispered, "Last night was a mistake." I'm married. Can't do this. I'm sorry. He blinked, confused, and said softly, "Just tell him the truth. Be with me instead." But Marissa shook her head. "Please, just go." She didn't speak to him again. She avoided him at work, ignored messages, skipped shared projects. 2 weeks of silence. The guilt clung to her like wet clothes. And for the first time in forever, she began to see Ethan clearly again. His quiet loyalty, his sacrifices, his consistency. The man she'd once chosen for all the right reasons. When Ethan returned from his trip, she greeted him like a woman possessed, cooking his favorite dinner, laughing too loud at his stories, clinging to him in bed. She vowed she'd never tell. No reason to destroy him for a mistake she'd already buried. But some truths don't stay buried. One Thursday evening, she came home and found Ethan at the kitchen table. Shot glass. A stack of printed papers. Her stomach flipped. She moved closer. The top page was a photo. A grainy snapshot of her. Half asleep, bare-shouldered, in bed beside Lucas. Below that, printed screenshots of every message she and Lucas had exchanged. Flirty banter, late-night overshares, everything. Lucas, bitter from being ghosted, had mailed it all directly to Ethan. Ethan didn't shout. He didn't even look up right away. He just sat there, eyes red, fingers trembling. By page 3, he'd needed the bourbon to keep reading. When he finally spoke, his voice was flat as stone. "Pack a bag. There's nothing left to say." Marissa sobbed, pleaded, explained how lonely she'd been, how meaningless it was. But Ethan's eyes had already gone cold. Trust, once shattered, doesn't beg for rewrites. She packed a small suitcase and walked out wearing yesterday's mascara. Ethan spent the next week inside a bottle. But when the fog lifted, so did the final illusions. He filed for divorce. No theatrics. No revenge post. Just clean, brutal closure. Marissa didn't fight it. She didn't ask for the house or the car. She stopped showing up at mutual gatherings and let the lawyer handle everything. As for Ethan, he moved on eventually, quietly, without bitterness, because he knew sometimes the most powerful revenge is healing. And Marissa, she became that woman, the one with a story no new partner ever wants to hear. The one people mention in hushed tones. A walking cautionary tale. If that story hit you in the gut, or reminded you how fragile trust really is, hit that like button, drop a comment, and share it with someone who needs the reminder. Until next time, stay kind, stay honest, and never take love for granted.